My 18-year-old cousin revealed this secret on my wedding day, on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, surrounded by family, friends, and the person I was about to marry. I thought nothing could shake me. But just hours before I was set to walk down the aisle, my 18-year-old cousin pulled me aside, his face pale and his voice unsteady. What he told me not only stopped me in my tracks, it made me question everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and the people closest to me. This isn't just a wedding story. It's a moment that changed the course of my life forever. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss more emotional and unforgettable stories like this one. The morning of my wedding was supposed to be full of laughter, flowers, and the kind of excitement you feel deep in your chest. That nervous, fizzy anticipation that makes your hands shake and your heart race. I had woken up early, way before the alarm, and for a few precious moments, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, smiling to myself. Today was the day I would stand in front of everyone I loved, say my vows, and promise forever to the person I believed I knew better than anyone else. My best man, Daniel, was already up and moving in the small guest room next door. I could hear him humming through the wall, probably practicing the joke-filled speech he promised me would be epic but not embarrassing. Outside, the sun was spilling golden light over the rolling hills behind the estate where the ceremony would be held. The air felt crisp and alive, as if the world was celebrating with me. Family had been arriving all week, filling the place with chatter and energy. My cousin Aaron, just 18, had come in from out of state 2 days earlier with his mom. I hadn't seen him in over a year, and when I first spotted him in the driveway, I was surprised by how much he'd grown. Taller, broader shoulders, but still with the same boyish smile I remember from our family barbecues. He'd hug me quickly, the way a teenager does when they're not sure how much affection is too much, and I thought nothing of it at the time. By 9 o'clock, the house was buzzing. My mom was running last-minute errands. My soon-to-be spouse was getting ready in another part of the state, and I was sitting in the main room, sipping coffee and going over the timeline one more time. That's when Aaron walked in. "Hey," he said, a little breathless, as if he'd been looking for me. "Can we talk?" I glanced at the clock. "Sure, but make it quick. I've got about 1,000,000 things to. It's important." He cut me off, his voice low and serious. Too serious for a wedding morning. His hands were shoved deep into the pockets of his hoodie, and there was a tension in his face that immediately pulled me out of my happy bubble. I motioned for him to follow me into the study, away from the noise of hairdryers and clinking dishes. The moment I closed the door, Aaron's shoulders slumped. He didn't sit. He just stood there, staring at the floor like the words he needed were written somewhere in the carpet pattern. "You're freaking me out," I said, forcing a light laugh. "What's going on?" He finally looked up at me, and I'll never forget the way his eyes darted. Like he wasn't sure if he was about to ruin my life or save me from something worse. "I don't know how to say this," he began, "and I've been trying to figure out if I should tell you at all. But after last night, I can't not tell you." My chest tightened. "Aaron, just say it." He took a deep breath. "It's about the person you're marrying." My stomach dropped. For a second, I thought I had misheard him, but the look on his face told me I hadn't. "What about them?" My voice came out sharper than I intended. Aaron glanced toward the closed door, as if making sure we were alone. "I saw them. Last night. In the garden." I frowned, trying to piece together what could possibly be so bad about that. "Okay." "They weren't alone," he said quickly, his words tumbling over each other now. "They were with someone else. And it wasn't just talking. I swear I wouldn't be saying this if I wasn't sure." The room seemed to tilt. For a moment, all I could hear was the faint ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. My hands felt cold, my mind scrambling for explanations. Maybe he misunderstood. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe... "Who?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Aaron hesitated. "You know him. He's one of the guests." I felt a sharp sting in my chest, part anger, part fear. "Aaron, you can't just drop something like this without details. Are you sure about what you saw?" "I'm sure," he said, his voice steady now. "And I think You should talk to them before you go through with this. My mind was a blur of images, the vows, the faces of friends and family, the carefully planned reception, all crashing into the possibility that it might all be built on a lie. I wanted to believe there was a misunderstanding, that Aaron, at 18, was overreacting to something innocent, but the way he was looking at me told me he believed every word he'd just said. Before I could respond, there was a knock at the door. Daniel's voice called through, "Hey, they need you upstairs, a photographer." I froze. The weight of the decision pressing against me was suffocating. If I walked out now, I'd have to plaster on a smile and pretend nothing had happened. If I stayed, I risked running late, drawing suspicion. Aaron's eyes searched mine. "What are you going to do?" I didn't know. All I knew was that my wedding day had just shifted into something I couldn't control, and every step forward suddenly felt like walking into the unknown. I walked out of the study like my legs didn't belong to me. The chatter and laughter spilling from the hallway felt strangely far away, as if I were watching it all through glass. Aaron's words echoed in my head, refusing to let go. They weren't alone, and it wasn't just talking. I climbed the stairs to the bridal suite, or in my case, the groom's ready room, where a photographer was already snapping candid shots of my tie being adjusted, shoes being polished, jackets being buttoned. Daniel handed me a glass of water, cracking a joke about how I looked like I'd seen a ghost. I laughed it off, but my mouth was dry, and I couldn't focus on a single thing anyone was saying. While they fussed over me, my mind kept circling back to Aaron's face. He hadn't been smirking or fishing for drama. He looked almost scared. That, more than the actual words, was what made my stomach twist. The minutes ticked by in a blur of poses, outfit adjustments, and, "Stand here! Look, there are instructions from the photographer." But inside, I was counting down the moment I'd see my fiancée. Every part of me needed to know if I'd sent something off, a flicker in their eyes, a slip in their voice. When they finally walked into the room for the first look photos, my breath caught. They were radiant, glowing in that way you can't fake. Our eyes met, and their smile was so warm, so familiar, that for a heartbeat, Aaron's words melted away. Maybe it really had been nothing. Maybe I was about to ruin the happiest day of my life over a misunderstanding. The photographer positioned us in front of the large arch window, light streaming in, capturing the moment we saw each other in our wedding outfits for the first time. My fiancée reached for my hand, and I felt that old rush of certainty, that sense of this is the person I want. But then, as they leaned in to fix my crooked boutonniere, I noticed it. The faintest scent of cologne that wasn't mine, a trace of something sharp and unfamiliar. It was gone in a second, but it snapped me back to Aaron's voice in the study. We moved through the pre-ceremony photos like we were on autopilot, smiling, posing, laughing at the right moments, all while my mind churned. The thought of confronting them now was impossible. There were makeup artists, photographers, friends, and family everywhere. Any sign of tension would set off a chain reaction I couldn't control. By noon, the guests were arriving, filing into the ceremony space. My heart pounded as I took my place near the altar, Daniel at my side. The music swelled, the doors opened, and there they were, walking toward me down the aisle. Everyone turned to look, phones snapping pictures, smiles wide. But all I could see was Aaron, standing toward the back, watching me. His expression was unreadable, but I felt the weight of it. It was like he was silently asking, "Are you sure?" The ceremony itself was beautiful, or so I've been told. I barely remember the words I said, or the laughter that rippled through the crowd when Daniel flubbed a line while handing me the rings. My mind kept skipping ahead to the reception, to the first moment I could steal my spouse away and just ask. But that moment never came. Not yet. The reception hall was a whirlwind of clinking glasses, speeches, and music. Every time I thought I'd have a chance to talk privately, someone new would pull us onto the dance floor or pose us for a group photo. I caught glimpses of Aaron here and there, talking to his mom, standing alone near the buffet. But I couldn't get to him either. It wasn't until late afternoon, after the cake cutting, that I saw it happen. I was across the room, thanking some friends for coming, when I spotted my new spouse slipping out through the side doors. They glanced over their shoulder, scanning the room, before stepping outside. My pulse kicked up. Without thinking, I followed, weaving through the crowd until I reached the door. I pushed it open quietly and stepped into the cool air. There they were, halfway down the garden path, talking to someone whose back was turned to me. It was him, a guest I recognized, someone I'd met through my spouse's work, a charming, confident type who'd always seemed just a little too familiar with them. They were standing close. Too close. I froze in the shadows, unable to move. My spouse laughed softly at something he said, then reached up and touched his arm. It was brief, maybe innocent to anyone else, but my chest burned. I must have made a sound, a shift of my foot on the gravel, because they both turned. My spouse's eyes widened, and for the first time that day, they looked caught off guard. "There you are," they said, their voice too bright. I was just telling him about. But the rest of the sentence never registered, because I was staring at the man beside them, and I realized I knew exactly where I'd smelled that cologne before. It was his. I didn't say anything right away. I just stood there, my eyes moving between the two of them. The man shifted uncomfortably, giving me a tight smile, like he wasn't sure if he should leave or stay. My spouse's expression was calm, too calm, like they were trying to make the moment seem smaller than it was. "Babe," they said, stepping toward me. "You look pale. You okay?" The word babe felt sharp in my ears. It was something intimate, something that used to feel like mine alone. Hearing it now, in this garden, with him standing there, made my stomach knot. "I'm fine," I said, though my voice came out tighter than I intended. "Just curious why you slipped out." They gave a soft laugh, glancing at him like they wanted him to back them up. It was loud inside. We were just getting some air. He nodded, putting on that smooth, easy smile I'd seen him use at work parties. "Yeah, man, just talking about some projects coming up. It might have worked on someone else, but not me." I remembered that cologne, the closeness, Aaron's voice and study. "Well," I said, looking directly at him, "I'll let you two talk. I'm sure you have a lot to catch up on." I turned and walked back inside before either of them could answer. My chest was tight, my head pounding. I didn't want to cause a scene, not yet, but I also knew I couldn't ignore what I had just seen. The rest of the evening felt like I was acting in a play I didn't audition for. We danced. We laughed for the cameras. We listened to the best man speech and the maid of honor's toast. But my smile was a mask, and behind it, I was replaying every detail from that garden. The way my spouse's hand lingered on his arm, the way they both looked when they saw me. Later, when the music slowed and most of the guests were deep in conversation or heading toward the bar, Aaron found me. He didn't say hello or ask if I was enjoying the night. He just said quietly, "You saw it, didn't you?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "I wasn't trying to ruin your wedding, you know. I thought you deserved to know before it was too late." My throat was dry. "How long?" He hesitated. "A few months. I saw them once at a coffee shop, but it wasn't friendly. And then I started noticing other things. Texts at weird hours. Disappearing at lunch. I didn't want to believe it, but..." I held up a hand. "Enough." My voice cracked on the word. Aaron's face softened. "I'm sorry." I walked away before the conversation could go further. My mind was buzzing, but I knew one thing. I couldn't let the night end without some kind of answer. When the last guest finally left and the reception hall emptied, we made our way to the honeymoon suite the hotel had prepared. Rose petals on the bed, champagne chilling by the window. It should have been perfect. Instead, it felt like a stage set, like something arranged for people we no longer were. My spouse kicked off their shoes and poured 2 glasses of champagne. "To us," they said, holding one out to me. I took it, but didn't drink. "Who is he to you?" They froze for just a second, the smile faltering before it came back. "What are you talking about?" "The guy in the garden. Don't play dumb. I know you've been spending time with him." They sighed, setting the glass down. "He's just a friend. We work together on a few things, that's all." "Then why hide it? Why go outside with him during our reception? Why smell like his cologne?" Their eyes narrowed. "You're being paranoid." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Aaron told me what he saw, and then I saw it myself. So don't stand there and tell me it's in my head. For a long moment, they said nothing. Then they looked away, running a hand through their hair. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is, I said, stepping closer. They opened their mouth, closed it, and shook their head. Not tonight. Please, can we just not do this on our wedding night? The way they said it, almost pleading, made me hesitate. I wanted to push, to demand the truth, but part of me was terrified of hearing it. We sat in silence for what felt like hours, the champagne going warm on the table. Finally, they stood and went into the bathroom, closing the door behind them. I heard the shower start, and I sat there, staring at the door, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. When they finally came out, wrapped in a robe, they didn't meet my eyes. "I'm going to bed," they said quietly. I lay down beside them, but sleep never came. My mind kept drifting back to that moment in the garden, the way his eyes had met mine, like he was daring me to say something. Around 3 a.m., I gave up trying to rest. I slipped out of bed and walked to the desk where my phone was charging. I opened it, staring at the contact list. Aaron's name was near the top. My thumb hovered over it for a long time before I finally tapped. He answered on the second ring, voice groggy. "Yeah, I need to know everything," I said. He was quiet for a moment, then sighed. "Meet me tomorrow morning. Somewhere private." "Where?" "I'll text you. But you're not going to like it." The call ended, and I stood there in the dim light of the suite, my heart pounding. Outside, the city lights glittered like nothing in the world was wrong. But I knew that when the sun came up, I might have to face a truth that would tear this marriage apart before it even began. And deep down, I wasn't sure if I wanted to fight to keep it. The morning light felt cruel, too bright for the heaviness in my chest. My spouse was still asleep when I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake them. I dressed quickly, my mind locked on Aaron's words from the night before. "You're not going to like it." The city was quiet as I made my way to the address Aaron had texted me. A small diner tucked between two old brick buildings. The kind of place where the coffee is always a little burnt and everyone knows everyone. I spotted him instantly, sitting in a booth near the back, hands wrapped around a mug like he needed the heat to keep himself steady. He looked up as I slid into the seat across from him. "You came," he said, voice low. "I didn't sleep," I admitted. "So, tell me." Aaron's jaw worked like he was weighing whether to start at the beginning or rip the bandage off. "I didn't want to ruin your wedding," he said again. But when I saw him at the reception, I couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore. "Him?" I asked, even though I already knew who he meant. "Ryan," Aaron said. "That's his name. He's not just some coworker. He's been more than that. At least, that's what it looked like to me." I stared at him. Looked like? Or was? Aaron's eyes didn't flinch. Was. I saw them together. Not just in public. I mean, together, in a way you don't mistake for friendship. The diner's clatter faded into a dull hum in my ears. When, about a month ago, I was walking home late from a friend's place, cut through the side street by the old art studio. They were in his car, windows fogged up, and when I passed, he trailed off, letting the implication hang. My hands tightened around the coffee cup in front of me, even though I hadn't touched it. "Why didn't you tell me then?" Aaron exhaled slowly. "Because I thought maybe it was a mistake. One-time thing. I wanted to believe they'd never risk everything for someone like him." "Someone like him?" I echoed. Aaron's mouth curved into something between a sneer and a grimace. "Let's just say Ryan's not the kind of guy who sticks around. He has a history. Short flings, lots of drama. Always moving on to the next person. I've seen him do it to other people. And I didn't want that to be you." I sat back, the vinyl of the booth sticking to my jacket. "And you're sure?" Aaron nodded once. "I wish I wasn't." The waitress came by, refilling his mug, and I noticed he didn't order anything else. Neither did I. My appetite was gone. When we left, the air outside felt heavier than when I'd walked in. Aaron touched my arm before we parted. I'm not telling you this to hurt you. I don't want you blindsided. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. By the time I got back to the hotel, my spouse was awake, scrolling through their phone. Hey, they said, as if everything was normal. Room service came by. I ordered pancakes for you. I didn't touch them. We need to talk. They frowned. About? Ryan. Their fingers tightened around the phone. What about him? I know. I said, the words tasting like metal in my mouth. Aaron told me everything. The car, the late nights. You could at least have had the decency to tell me before we got married. For a moment, their face was a mask. Then it cracked. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. They said quietly, it started as nothing, just conversations, hanging out after work. But then, I don't know, it got complicated. Complicated? I laughed bitterly. You mean you cheated? They flinched but didn't deny it. It's over, they said quickly. I ended it weeks ago. That's why seeing him at the wedding threw me off. I didn't even invite him. Aaron must have. That made me pause. Aaron invited him? They nodded. They know each other. And I'm guessing Aaron had his own reasons for wanting him there. My mind spun. Had Aaron known from the start? Had he orchestrated all of this to blow it up in my face on purpose? Before I could press further, there was a knock at the door. We weren't expecting anyone. My spouse looked uneasy but went to open it. It was Ryan. Hey, he said, leaning casually in the doorway like this was just any other day. Can I come in? I stood. No, you can't. He glanced between us, smirking slightly. Figured you might want to hear my side before you make up your mind. I don't need your side. I snapped, but he stepped in anyway, brushing past my spouse. I'm not here to break you up, he said. I just thought you should know. Aaron's not as innocent as he's pretending to be. My spouse stiffened. Ryan. No, let me, he said, holding up a hand. You think I'm the problem here? Aaron's been in love with you for years. He told me himself. I think that's why he was so eager to warn you. Maybe he even hoped you'd come running to him when this all blew up. I stared at him, my pulse pounding. You're lying. He shrugged. Believe what you want. But if you don't believe me, ask him. See what he says. The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. My spouse avoided my eyes. Ryan stood there like he'd just tossed a grenade into the room and was waiting to see who would hit first. Finally, I said, get out. Ryan smirked, but he left, the door clicking shut behind him. I turned to my spouse. Is it true? Has Aaron? They shook their head quickly. I don't know. Maybe. He's always been protective of you. Maybe more than most cousins. But I never thought. I didn't let them finish. I grabbed my phone and dialed Aaron. He answered after 2 rings. We need to talk, I said. He sounded cautious. About what? You. And what Ryan just told me. There was a long pause. Where are you? I told him. Stay there, he said. I'm on my way. I hung up, my heart thudding so loudly I could feel in my fingertips. I didn't know what was about to walk through that door, the truth or another lie. But I knew one thing. By the end of this day, nothing between us, me, my spouse, Aaron, would ever be the same again. Aaron arrived less than 15 minutes later. He didn't knock softly. He pounded like someone ready to break the door down if I didn't answer fast enough. When I saw him standing in the hallway, his face was tight, every muscle locked like he was holding back words that had been eating him alive for years. Can we talk alone? He asked, throwing a quick glance toward my spouse, who was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching this like it was a bad movie he couldn't pause. No, I said flatly. If you have something to say, you say it in front of everyone. I'm done with half-truths today. Aaron took a deep breath, closed the door behind him, and leaned against it. Ryan lied, at least about why he's here. I didn't invite him. He showed up on his own. And yes, I warned you about him because I knew he'd hurt you. And about what he said, that you have feelings for me? I asked, my eyes locked on his. Aaron hesitated for half a second. Enough of the truth to be written on his face before he even spoke. I didn't plan for you to find out. Not like this. But yes, I do. The silence that followed was almost physical, pressing the air out of my lungs. My spouse stood slowly, as if processing every layer of this revelation. So that's it. All this time you wanted us to fail. Aaron didn't flinch. I wanted you to be happy. But I also didn't want you to be fooled. And yes, maybe deep down I wanted a chance. A chance. I stepped closer. Do you even realize what you're saying? You waited until my wedding day to put me in this position? He opened his mouth to answer, but a knock on the door cut him off. 3 sharp, urgent knocks. My stomach twisted. Who else was going to show up today? I muttered. It was Ryan again. Only this time, his expression wasn't smug or taunting. It was pale, almost shaken. There's something you both need to see, he said. It's about the ceremony, about the vows. I followed him reluctantly. Aaron right behind me, my spouse trailing with a guarded look. In the lobby, Ryan handed me a phone. A video was playing. It was footage from earlier that day, the rehearsal. But there was no sound of laughter, no light mood. Instead, the camera caught a conversation between my spouse and someone I didn't recognize. Words that hit me like a brick. It's just for the benefits. A year, maybe less. I froze. The room seemed to tilt. My spouse's voice in the video was unmistakable, casual, almost dismissive. When the clip ended, no one said a word. Is this true? I asked, my voice low, not because I was calm, but because I didn't trust what would happen if I raised it. He didn't deny it. His silence was louder than any confession. Aaron's eyes darted to me, then to him. You needed to know, better now than years from now, when it's too late. I turned to my spouse, the person I thought I was starting a life with, and for the first time that day, I didn't feel torn. I felt free. The wedding's off, I said. The words tasted strange, but also right, like closing a door that had been open too long. The rest of the day was a blur. Guests were sent home. The venue emptied. By nightfall, only Aaron and I were left, sitting on the back steps of the hall. Neither of us spoke for a while. The silence was different this time, not heavy but open, waiting. When he finally looked at me, his voice was softer. I didn't want it to happen like this. But I'm here if you ever want to know what it could feel like to be chosen for the right reasons. I didn't answer, not yet. My heart was raw, my trust fractured, but a small part of me, the part that felt something when he admitted the truth, wondered if maybe, just maybe, this disaster was the start of something real. Looking back now, I realize that sometimes the day you think will define your future turns out to destroy the path you thought you were on and open another. If you've ever been faced with a truth that shattered your plans but set you free, you know what I mean. And if you haven't, maybe this is your reminder. The wrong person can keep you stuck for years, but the right truth, no matter how painful, can set you free in a single day. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more stories like this. Stories that make you feel, make you think, and maybe even change the way you see your own life.